Hi, this is Len Edgerly in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I'm going to talk to you today about the Kobo. This is going to be Borders e-reader, and it'll be in stores here in the U.S. On June 6th, from what I can understand. But I've been reading on it for the last couple of weeks because I ordered one online, and I'm going to tell you some things about it that I hope will be useful. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the weight and size of the Kobo. And I'll start out by doing a weight comparison here on our home scale. The first one that I'm putting on the scale is the Barnes & Noble Nook, and you can see that it weighs in at 12 ounces. So that's the heavy weight of the three. We'll put the Kindle on now, and the Kindle comes in at 10 1/4 ounces, noticeably lighter than the Nook, also thinner. That's one advantage of the Kindle. But now here comes the Kobo, and it's only 7 3/8 in weight. You'll see that it's also shorter than either of the other two, but the reading screen is exactly the same. It's the 6-inch e-ink screen. So the Kobo ends up being very easy to hold, very light. It's got a pleasant sort of rubberized back. You can certainly put it in a suit pocket, and in fact, depending on the shirt pocket you have, here I've got kind of a work shirt where you can put the Kobo right in your pocket of the shirt. So really a very pleasant size. Kobo Reader, in addition to being lighter than the other two, is cheaper. It's only $150 compared to $259 for the Kindle and the Nook. But there's a lot that the Kobo can't do as a result of pricing it that aggressively. It cannot download books wirelessly like the other two can, using a free 3G network. The other things that you can't do, you can't highlight, you can't take notes. There's no dictionary, there's no searching. It's just the book, baby. And so if you've got a book and all you want to do is read it, the Kobo will work just fine, and everything else about it is similar to the other two. You can change the font, and you've got the ability to move around among chapters and things like that. So it's a smaller feature set for a better price. The most distinctive thing about the look of the Kobo is this blue button, which Engadget calls a D-pad, and it has 4 positions: up, down, left, right, and then a center area. And this is how you navigate. So if you want to open a book here, I've got The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes showing. Kobo comes with 100 free books loaded on in an attractive way, all from Gutenberg, so you can kind of get started with the classics. So if we press the button, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes opens up. Now, another thing is these books open more slowly than they do on the Kindle or the Nook, and not too bad a wait there, but you'd already be reading the book by now on the other two readers, especially on the Kindle, which is faster than the Nook. When you're in the book and you want to go to the next page, you press over on the right side of the blue button. And I think I may have a defective unit, because I'm finding that at least almost half of the time when I press this button, nothing happens. There's an example. And it's really frustrating. I don't know whether I just haven't found the sweet spot, but it shouldn't be that hard to advance the page, and the previous page seems to work okay. There are buttons along the side for take you to the home screen, and that shows your list of books. The menu will provide you options depending on where you are within a book or not. The display you can change to different settings, and then you've got a back key like you do on the Kindle that takes you back to where you were before. The thing about the blue button that if you want to hold your Kobo in the left hand, it's a little awkward because you got to get your thumb all the way over here to the right side of the blue button to advance the page. And you can learn to do it, but it's just awkward. And I don't know why they didn't put the blue button in the center. If you're holding it in your right hand, it's a little easier here because you're just going like this, and there's just kind of a natural tendency. So they may have just advantaged right-handed people in the design of this thing. But compared with the Kindle and the Nook, where the next buttons are on the side, I think that's a better place for them. And the Kindle famously had buttons that were too easily activated so that you were pressing the next page when you didn't mean to. They fixed that, and now it's just a totally smooth action. I don't think the Nook has quite got such a good button action on the pages. It just doesn't seem to be as easy a move to get to the next page as it is on the Kindle. But the blue button is distinctive. I think that it's not that great a design in terms of the usability, and I find it a little irritating to use it for advancing the pages and reading a book. The Kobo is off to a pretty strong start in terms of the platforms that, in other words, if you go to kobobooks.net and you buy a book from Kobo with its partnership with Borders, you can read it on the Kobo itself. They also have applications now to read it on the iPhone, BlackBerry, the Palm Pre, the Android, and the iPad, as well as Mac or PC. So they've got that same kind of free apps strategy that Kindle is really, taking the lead on. But at this point, Kindle has just recently announced its Android app, so it's not out there, whereas apparently the Kobo app is there, as well as the Pre app. Kindle doesn't have an app for the Palm Pre, but that's pretty strong on the Kobo end. The other thing which Kobo is doing is it's got the EPUB standard for formatting, so that gives you the ability to buy content at the Kobo store and read them on at least some of the other e-readers. You can buy a book at the Kobo store and read it on your Nook, but you can't go the other way around, and that's something that I thought would be pretty much in the Kobo's favor if you were able to shop at the pretty large Barnes & Noble ebook store for your Kobo, but it doesn't seem possible at this point. The Kobo store, they're saying they have 2 million books, and I think most of them are the public domain. I saw one item in the New York Times that said that they had 200,000 titles of kind of contemporary books. That's compared with 500,000 for the Kindle, and Barnes & Noble just never really says how many of the non-public domain books are available at the Barnes & Noble store. But I looked up The Big Short, which is a popular book now at the top of most of the lists, and it's available for $9.99 on the Kindle and also on the Nook, but it's not on the Kobo list yet. So it looks like it's a pretty big selection of books. I'll be interested just to see people comparing it. I don't have a Sony reader here. I did have a Sony Daily Edition that I was trying out, but I decided that I just can't buy every e-reader, and that was one I just wasn't using because the touch screen on the Sony reader made it difficult to get as clear an image as you can get on these three. To be fair, I wish I had a Sony Reader Pocket Edition because that's cheaper, and it would be, that would be an interesting comparison to compare that with the Kobo. And the Borders connection, I think it gives them a similar feel that this is a bookstore, which you get with the Nook and Barnes and Noble. And of course the Kindle, you ask people what Amazon's for, and they say it's for buying books. So to me, the more interesting players here are the ones that are coming out of the book system, because that for people who, I think the people who are buying these devices are lovers of reading. They're book lovers. They're people that read several books a month or maybe even a week. And so it's pretty natural that the dominant e-book players would be Amazon and then the two major chains. I don't think normal people would be toting around 3 e-readers plus an iPad, but you know, I think there are times when I've found myself naturally picking up the Kobo as opposed to the Kindle just because of the lightness of it and the simplicity of it. When I'm in more of an active reading mode, the Kindle is clearly the preferred device because there's so many other things I can do with it. And there are some things that I read on the iPad, although I'll say that in the time that I've had the iPad now, which is what, about a month and a half, I tried the reading apps on the iPad and I saw that they were much better than I expected them to be. But I very seldom am reading books on the iPad anymore after that initial experimentation of it. If I have a choice and I'm headed for my chair and I want to pick up, just do some reading, I'm going to pick up one of these devices as opposed to the iPad. Kobo looks pretty cool. I'll say I'm keeping this. It's not going to be headed back to the store. I will think, they said that if I go to a Borders store, I will be able to turn this in and try to get one that has maybe a better action on the blue button. So I'll do that. But the store I went to in Cambridge yesterday said they kind of looked at me surprised and said, well, we don't have those, and it looked like they weren't going to have any in the store until June 6th. But definitely worth checking out, and just one of the ways that this ebook sector is fun to follow because there's always somebody new that has a good idea that's presenting it to the public, and as I can afford buying them and recycling them as it happens, then I'll keep you informed. This is Len Edgerly from Cambridge, host of the Kindle Chronicles and the Reading Edge podcasts.